everybody, and welcome once again to another episode of Bill Has Opinions, where the opinions are made up and the beers don't matter. I'm Laura Lavoie, and I am joined, of course, by Bill Perkins, who has opinions. How are you, Bill?
I'm good. This fine day.
It's fine. It's today in Atlanta started out rainy and gloomy, but it wasn't cold, and now it's like bright and sunny and happy. So how's the weather going?
We had the same thing. It started out really kind of shitty, and then about lunchtime, the sun came out and it warmed up, and yeah, so it's kind of nice out right now.
Yeah, I think I saw that it's going to be here in Atlanta. It's going to be like 70 degrees this week.
Yeah, supposed to get warm tomorrow, I think, what I heard. Yeah.
Yeah.
So,
while Texas is thawing out, it'll be 70 degrees here.
Yeah.
So, yeah. So, where do we go from here? I only have had one beer so far. What are you drinking there?
I'm drinking Highland Oatmeal Porter right now.
Yum.
Yeah, they got a lot of IPAs on the tap right now at the Purple Onion, where I'm not at, but I'm right behind in the Purple Onion Grotto.
That sounds fancy, though.
It does sound fancy, but it's kind of a combo storage room, and it's the green room when they have bands. That's what the little lounge area I'm sitting in is, like the green room for the bands area. Anyway, they're actually open now on Monday nights. And, well, I guess our show was on Tuesday nights, so that was when we moved to Monday, I had to skedaddle out of there because now there are people sitting there eating instead of, just me sitting there chatting.
I've got a couple of beers.
Oh, yeah? What do you got?
I got this. This is a New Belgium Wild Ride Amber IPA.
Huh, I have not seen that.
It's really good. It tastes like if their flagship Fat Tire had a baby with an IPA.
Okay.
Yeah. So it tastes exactly like you expect that to taste.
Okay.
And then after that, I've got this Sweetwater Hazy IPA.
I'm
going IPAs today.
IPAs. Very good.
Or I like them.
I like them sometimes. I have to be in the mood. They're kind of like, today I wasn't in the mood for it.
Yeah, that's fair. And I mean, every day is different in the world of beer. Sometimes I want a nice dark porter. Sometimes I want an IPA. It can change. So
I could have really gone for like a fruity Pilsner, but there wasn't such an animal.
I did because Bill Has Opinions is funnier when we've had more to drink. I did have an Atlanta Brewing Company Pilsner right before this.
Okay.
It's pretty good. Good stuff.
Yeah.
I have moved on. As we should move on to the theme of today's show.
Yeah.
Today's show is about cooking. How to cook, how we cook, that we like cooking, that we don't like cooking, all that sort of stuff.
Right. Cooking.
Cooking.
First off, okay, so I'm going to take this, getting into it, and say we're talking about actual cooking today, not heating up.
Yes.
Okay.
Because those are two very different things.
There are two different things. A lot of people think they're cooking when they open a can of something and put it in a pot. And while I do a fair amount of that too, that's not what we're talking about today. We'll have another episode entirely on heating things up, man.
I'm going to write that down. That's a great episode. Heating things up.
What do you like to heat up? Cooking, though, I think implies a certain amount of preparation in knowing how to actually do a thing. A little skill is involved. That's what I'm trying to say, right?
Right. No, I think that's fair, and I think that's why some people don't like to cook, and I think it's because they don't enjoy that process of cooking. Because I do think that that's a big part of it.
yeah, you do have to. I think you have to like the process. You have to like the process and the outcomes.
Yes. Yes.
And some people, I think, they don't like the outcomes, and some people they don't like the process. And either way, they'll say, "I don't like to cook," or "I don't cook," or "I can't cook," or whatever. But and while there are parts of it that I don't like, and we'll get into that, I will say for the most part, I do like to cook, and I usually do cook or heat things up.
I mean, at some point, isn't that all meal times, right? I either cook or I heat something up.
Right.
And as I have been informed that you cook because Emily does not cook, which I believe is the height of irony. Like, that's actual irony because Emily owns a restaurant.
Well, it's like, I don't know if you've ever heard this, but I've heard this from people. I used to work with this woman her husband was a diesel mechanic, right? And he all day long worked on buses and things. And he actually drove a diesel truck because he was a diesel mechanic, and he liked to have a truck that he could work on conceivably. But she said he wouldn't even change his own oil at home because that was his damn job. And on the weekend, the last thing he wanted to do was come home and do his job again, right? Like, so I think that's a pretty common maybe thing, is that somebody whose career is a thing, they don't really like do it as a hobby also. I mean, I know people always are like, do that thing you love and you'll never work a day in your life or whatever that, but honestly, sometimes even no matter what it is, you get a little tired of it and you don't want to do it 24/7. Not that she cooks at the restaurant either.
Well, true, right. She is not the chef.
But she
had her baked goods, and they are delicious.
She used to be the baker at the restaurant years ago, and so she can, and she likes. Well, I don't know if she does. She doesn't really like to bake. She hasn't baked in a while, but she's a good baker when she bakes things. And I want to differentiate between baking and cooking also here.
Yes.
I am
different skills.
I am a lousy baker, but a good cook. And I'll say the difference to me, baking is a science.
Yes.
And cooking is an art.
Yes. I completely agree with that.
Anything that requires me reading the back of the box more than once, forget about it. I threw that box away. During step 1.
Ooh, yes, exactly. But here's also, like, I think that's also the difference between professional baking and like at-home amateur baking, because I'll make a cake by opening a box of cake mix, adding the requisite ingredients, mixing it up, and baking a cake. And that's not baking either.
It still involves the science, because like I said, there's like these ratios of this to that, and there's a time and a heat. It's got some specifics that are involved, right? So here's the thing. I'll say this. When I was in art school, I took a photography class, and I realized I like the snapping of the pictures, but I don't like the developing of the film and because that part is exactly like baking. It's like it's very precise. You have to do it a certain way, or you fuck your shit up.
Yes. Yes.
And that happened to me in photography, and it happened to me with baking, and anything that's that exact. Like, you got to do this a certain way and for a certain time and at a certain temperature, and I'm just forget about it. I'm not doing it.
It's funny. I can strangely relate to the photography, even though this is not a photography episode. Strangely relate to the photography because my brother, the same brother that works at Found Sound, Ferndale, Michigan, he was a photographer in high school. He's very talented photographer. And after he graduated and then I came into high school, I took journalism because, I wanted to be a writer. And it was the same teacher. And I get in the class the first day and the teacher's like, "Oh, you're Mike Lavoie's little kid, your little sister. You need to do photography." And I'm like, "I don't want to do photography. I want to write." And he's like, No, we're going to put you on photography. So I did. And I probably could have been better at it, but I did not want to do it. So I tanked it. I'm like, don't know what I'm doing. This is bad.
Yeah.
But it's to say I don't want to do that. I have no interest in that. And baking, I will make some, like a lot of people did quarantine baking this last year.
Mm.
if it was a 3-ingredient recipe, like if I could mix peanut butter and sugar and vanilla, and that would be a cookie, I did that.
Like oatmeal cookies type baker. Like I just mix this and this and call it a thing. All right, very well.
I could do that. Yes. And then the end result was good. I made 2-ingredient bagels all summer long. It was Greek yogurt and self-rising flour, and that was it. I'm like, I could do that.
Yeah. I heard there was a similar recipe like that. It was like beer and flour, I think, and the beer contained all the other ingredients that you needed.
Yeah, ice cream bread. You can do the same thing with a pint of ice cream, and I think it's a cup, whatever the actual measurement of self-rising flour is. You just soften the ice cream, mix it together, and you can make bread out of it. I do that.
Okay.
I mean, it makes like
I get that. I still, there's still, like I said, there's still exact temperature and time requirements involved in baking. Whereas, like I said, the thing about cooking, you kind of like, part of it is because it's on the stovetop, right? Like you can see what you're doing. So you get to just eyeball it and go, oh yeah, it looks good now, and you're tasting it.
And you taste as you go, right? You can add things.
You're interacting with it though in a way that you don't with baking, I suppose, right?
Right. I totally hear you. So I didn't get into cooking until I used to not think I liked cooking, and now it's actually become one of my favorite things. I enjoy it quite a bit. I do it several nights a week at home. But what actually flipped that switch for me was following recipes. Now, that's not to say that I religiously follow a recipe. I'll follow the recipe and I'll add things and I'll taste as I go. But what I realized what I liked about it was not coming up with my own puzzle. I wanted somebody to give me a puzzle that I would then put together.
Mm-hmm.
So I started using those meal plans, like Blue Apron.
Yes, like for people who are looking to get into cooking, the meal plans are a good way to learn about prep and to learn about what things taste good together, I suppose. Like, yes. Until you get that confidence of, no, not that. I'm going to put this instead, And
now I can do that. And I still use a recipe most of the time, but now I feel confident that I'm like, I get that these flavors go together, and I get how to prep things, and I get how to cut things, and I get how to measure things.
Right. And then sometimes you'll get a recipe and you'll flip through it. Okay, it takes this, this, and this, and then it's got a thing, and you're like, I hate that. I hate that particular ingredient is not my thing. I don't like it. What can I sub in lieu of that, right? Like, like if I was looking at a recipe and it said, it wanted cucumbers or something, I'd probably be like, nah, we're not doing that. Like, that's out. What else? What is the cucumber trying to accomplish in this recipe?
Right.
Is it a textural thing? If it's texture, I could probably put like celery or something else that's got like a wet, crunchy snap, Or,
exactly.
Or if it's trying to be if it's a flavor thing, I could probably find something else that's in the, I don't know, in the watery flavor.
I can just sort of add water.
But you know what I'm saying? Like, you try to figure out, okay, the ingredient I don't like, what is it trying to do, and what do I like that does that, but does it in a way that I mean, like, for example, like, and I don't dislike spinach, but I like basil more. I think everything spinach can do, basil can also do, and it does it with flavor. I always think basil's like spinach's more flavorful cousin, right? Like,
so I dig that, but in large quantities. Like, I don't know that I would want to do like a full like creamed basil situation.
Creamed? I would. I'd eat the hell out of that.
You're like, yes, please.
Yeah, no. I mean, like, any sandwich that has spinach on it, I'm like, no. Take the spinach off and put basil on there instead.
See, that I can get behind. That.
It's a light layer, though. Like, it's not a big. Either way, it wasn't a big deal. I got you. Yeah, I guess the biggest thing you're going to eat that's like a pile of spinach is like a spinach souffle or like maybe a spinach calzone. But you need a basil calzone, wouldn't you? I would.
Yeah, I don't think I would like. So I'm thinking. So one of the things. Hold on, I've got. Oh, it's right here. One of the things that I love. One of the things that taught me to cook was this family Greek cookbook. And of course, it's a Greek cookbook. So spinach pie is like. There's no way I would make a basil pie. Like it just would be all levels of wrong.
I don't know that it would.
I just don't think that's right. I don't know. We should do a cook-off at some point. You make a basil pie, I'll make a spinach pie using the same general recipe and see what happens.
All right. Although we are talking about making a pie, which is baking.
Yeah, it's not that kind of pie. It's a Greek recipe. You get phyllo dough, you put that down, you make the mixture, you put it on top, you bake it.
All right.
Not like a pie, like an apple pie, where you got
I got you.
Different situation here.
No, I mean, and I do like spinach pie. You know, I used to eat a lot of them. When I lived in Chicago, I lived in this neighborhood where there were like 6 different Middle Eastern restaurants, like in a row. And one of them was like a Middle Eastern deli type situation. You know, you could buy everything by the pound, but you go in there and they had spinach pie for like 75 cents a piece and meat pies for $1. And I'd go in there and I just, oh yeah, give me some of those, give me some of those, give me, you know, and a pound of feta and a pound of the baba ganoush and and I just go crazy. But man, yeah, I used to live off that stuff for a while. So I do love. I'm not trying to knock spinach at all. I like spinach, but I also like basil. Basil's better.
Well, as Matt said, I assume he's referring to your basil pie. So I think we should totally. And actually, I don't know what the translation is because, of course, pie is still. It's not the perfect translation because it's spanakopita.
It's more of a hot pocket.
It is kind of a hot pocket. It's a fancy hot pocket.
It's a flicky hot pocket. Is what it is.
It really, really is. On that note, let's turn to our sponsor. They're not really a sponsor, other than they sent me some stuff that had nothing to do with this podcast. But I said, thanks for the stuff. I'm going to promote you on my podcast. So it's my brother. My brother's this. Oh wait, nope, right here. There. That guy's my brother. So you can see a little bespectacle head. I can't show you because I want to show you. Here we go. That's my brother right there.
Okay.
All right. For Found Sound in Ferndale, Michigan. So he sent me a whole bunch of swag and the t-shirt and stuff just for funsies. So I said, I'm going to talk about you on my podcast. So I am. So if you're in Michigan, go to Found Sound in Ferndale, Michigan. Talk to them about new and used records, tapes, and are they called tapes? Cassettes? I don't know if they still sell that. CDs, I assume. And
I heard cassettes are making a comeback.
I've heard that as well.
Like as a niche audience thing. I don't know if that means the record industry is putting them out, but I know a lot of people now are buying them again.
Hey, I mean, they were a thing. Like,
actually, I'll say this: they held up better than CDs. Turns out.
Well, CDs succumbed to future technology because then we just had streaming and nobody bought anything anymore.
Well, no, I mean the CDs. My physical CDs that I still own actually aren't holding. They're like starting to deteriorate.
Really?
Yes. Turns out they don't have the shelf life that we were promised. The foil on them starts to flake off.
That's interesting. I got rid of my CDs a long time ago. So
once the foil flakes off, you've lost data.
Yeah.
Whoop, that's gone. It's poof. And you know, vinyl records and cassettes had the problem of bleed over. Like
cassettes had the problem of your cassette player eventually eating them.
Either the tape would stretch and the cassette tape player would eat it, or sometimes they do this thing called bleed over, whereas you would hear side A backwards while you were listening to side B. That didn't happen a whole lot. I heard it like on maybe 2 cassettes I owned, and I think you had to play the shit out of that cassette for that to happen, right?
I was going to say that sounds like a feature for some people.
It was kind of interesting, but that's the only 2 problems I've really had with cassettes. You know, in retrospect, like I've had more problems with CDs, skipping, being scratched, flaking, and falling apart.
Scratch is the big issue. That happened to me all
the
the
easiest
time.
thing to happen, yes. But these all things, like I said, the flaking and falling apart thing though, that's a best case scenario. Like you didn't do anything to hurt. Like I didn't throw the CD in the floorboard of the car and step on it. Or anything. Like it's in its little sheath or whatever. Still and yet, time has taken its toll.
Alas, it's a sad day for the music. But I transitioned very early on to streaming, so that said, I will still buy music directly from certain artists just to send money their way. Like, I don't need the physical CD. I'm like, here's the cost of your CD. Now I will stream it on Spotify.
Yeah, and a lot of people, if you buy the vinyl, they'll give you a download code to download the because they know the vinyl doesn't work in the car,
Right.
So that's kind of cool. Is like in that case you've got a vinyl record which is archival,
And art, so because you always get the
it's a 12-inch piece of art, which that's part of the reason the CDs were also crappy is that the art didn't translate well to the 5-inch format there.
Right. Although I remember with tapes, like you would have the little tape, the cassette and it would fold out and out and out. And you would have sometimes you'd have all the lyrics, but it would be like a.
It was the CVS receipt of our day.
It really, really was.
Look at this.
Yeah, so our favorite librarian says that it's the oil from our use of it.
Huh.
And time is in fact a cruel mistress.
Yes.
That's fair. That's fair. All right, so let's get back to the actual topic at hand. But if you do want some vinyl, new or used, go to Found Sound in Ferndale, Michigan. Ask for Michael. All right, so cooking. Tell me, Bill, what do you like to cook? What's your favorite cuisine? What things do you enjoy making?
Well, those are two different things.
Mm-hmm.
You ask several questions at once. I'm going to address first what's my favorite thing to cook.
All right.
My favorite thing to cook, I love griddle cooking. I like flat top griddle. Like if the job paid well, I could be a Waffle House cook and be happy probably. Like if it was if Waffle House cook made like the wages I make,
Right. Which, by the way, I would like to point out they should.
And I would be down for that. I'd be there, and I'd be flipping some hash browns, and I'd be making some patty melts. I love griddle cooking. So we recently, well not recently, but in the last we bought a house. A little over a year ago now.
Something like that, yeah.
Yeah, and so we've been redoing it, and one of the things we redid was we took out the old electric range and we put in a gas range, and our gas range actually has a griddle in the middle of the eyes, which I love, and every weekend I'm sizzling some stuff on that. I like to cook. I like to cook hash browns, but I like to cook eggs a lot. I cook. So the main thing I always like to joke around and say I'm the master of the fried breads. So French toast, grilled cheeses, that kind of thing.
Yeah.
I make a really great grilled cheese sandwich. I make more than one kind of grilled cheese. I have like a grilled cheese repertoire. I can make multiple different grilled cheese sandwiches, and they're all good. I make cheesesteaks sometimes on the griddle. I like griddle cooking. It's my favorite. Outside of griddle cooking, then frying something in a pan is also. I like to make fajitas, and I like to make stir fry stuff, and I don't know, fried rice. I guess I make some of that.
I like fried rice.
Yeah, I'm trying to think. It's mostly that kind of stuff. It's stuff that can be made. I'll say this. I like things that cook quickly, which is probably part of my infatuation with the griddle. I don't like meals that this is the thing. When I first started getting interested in cooking, all the cooking shows. Sometimes people watch cooking shows and they get interested in cooking.
I freaking love cooking shows.
Okay. Well, I watched a great many cooking shows, but then sometimes, you'd be watching like Emerald or somebody, and they'd be like, okay, if you want to make this recipe, first thing you got to do is you got to go down to the African market in your area, and you need to buy Mbuzu root. Okay, you're going to want to get like probably 3 pounds of Mbuzu root from the African market, and you're like at home going, the fuck is like? There's no African market, Emerald. Like, I live where I live. There's no Mbuzu. What do I sub in for that? What is that? What does it taste like? I don't know. So it'd be shit like that. Like, it'd be stuff that's impossible to get. And then the prep, like, this is another thing with me. If the prep times are ridiculous, if it's like, I remember one time I found this recipe and it was for like this apple chutney. And I was like, ooh, that sounds interesting. And I start reading and it's like, okay, first off, it's like soak something overnight. And I was like, nah. Nah, we don't have time for that shit. Like, anything that takes more than half an hour, I'm not doing it. The point of my story is here. The cooking shows that I like, when Jamie Oliver had the Naked Chef, all of his stuff was it was ingredients you could acquire easily.
Right.
B, all of his recipes took a half an hour from start to finish, like from prep to table, half hour. That's how you engage a person that is, just getting into this, like, because I mean, the thing is, if you work an entire damn day, you get home, it's already like 6:37, whatever. I mean, do you want to prepare a meal that's going to take till 9 or 10 to get on the table?
Not at all. I will point out that part of my fascination with cooking came when I started working from home for myself, because now I could be done working by 3 or 4 in the afternoon, and then I have a leisurely time to make myself dinner.
Sure. And if you have that kind of time, that's great. But, like, a lot of people don't. And so, like I said, my hindrance was, you get home from work, you're already hungry. Like, like my stomach's already growling. Anything that's going to take me an hour and a half, to hell with that. Then you're going to open a can. You're like, okay, it's time to.
Then I'm heating this thing up right here. What do I got to heat up?
Yeah, because I'm not dealing with that. So I like things that prepare fast, and that's probably part of the reason why I like frying things, is because nothing fries slowly,
No. Yeah, like even so, yeah, chicken, obviously, like the gold standard of food. You literally cannot serve it raw. Like, nobody's gonna eat a medium rare chicken.
No.
But yeah, if you deep fry it, that fucker's done like in seconds. But if you need to bake it, it could be a while.
Right. So that's what I'm saying, is like, I generally like things that cook on the stovetop and cook quickly. Rice is probably the thing I'm the most patient with, because it takes 20 minutes,
You just got to see, that's the thing about prep. And we will get into prep, because I think that's a big part of my enjoyment of cooking, was when I learned that you don't have to try to do it all at the same time. Is like, so if you're making rice, you put that shit on first.
Yeah.
Like, you get it going, and then you do everything else, and then it's done by the time you're done with everything.
You got 20 minutes to work on everything else.
Exactly. So, and to that end, like, I don't know that I have a specific thing I like cooking. I like finding cool recipes that I can modify and use, and then making that. So whatever the cuisine is, it doesn't matter. Like, for Christmas this year, particularly because it was, with quarantine and COVID and all that, we weren't going anywhere. We weren't having parties. So we decided that the two of us were going to attempt a feast of 7 fishes, which is for 2 people. We actually narrowed it down to 3 fishes, but I found 3 different fish recipes and I made them. And that was the activity as much as it was the food we ate. Like, we hung out in the kitchen, we had some drinks, and I made the food, and then I made the other food, and then I made the other food.
And which 3 fishes did you cook?
Well, we decided I didn't go with, so in a traditional Sicilian menu, it's a lot of fried fish. I did not do that. We did, the first course was seared scallops in a lemon garlic sauce with champagne. The second course was a salmon salad with goat cheese and cranberries and almonds with a white wine. And then the third course was a shrimp pasta and it was a red sauce pasta, which isn't actually very common with seafood, but I found a really cool, like, spicy red sauce that went with shrimp and with a red wine. And so we did that, and it was super delicious. But some of the fun was the prep and the cooking and everything. Like, it wasn't just the eating that was the fun part.
Right. No, sometimes it's fun. It's fun to, I don't know, like I get a little bit of a pleasure out of, chopping the vegetables. And although, my wife jokes that I don't have very good knife skills. Like, she hates watching me cut things up because I'm kind of ridiculous. And I'm not like one of those chop people. Like, I'm more like a, very exact kind of cut.
I'm somewhere in the middle. I think my knife skills are not good, but my cuts turn out very well.
That's where I'm at. I think, like, I chop the things to the degree that I want them chopped. It's not quick, but it does the job. Like, I'm not in a hurry. I mean, except for once I get in the pan.
You're only in as much hurry as you are to eat the food that you've made, right?
Exactly.
That's so that's one of the things I learned when I started doing the meal plans, like Blue Apron or HelloFresh or whatever. Mm-hmm. Is one of the things that when I first started doing it was HelloFresh, and they stressed doing the mise en place, which I have also seen on a lot of TV shows. So the idea is that you prep everything before you start. So you do all your chopping, you do everything, get it all prepped and ready to go, so that when you're ready to start actually cooking it, you're not then chopping an onion. Like, you did it all first, and then you.
That makes sense. I mean, because sometimes that is like, if you've already got something going, then you're in a mad rush to, like, hurry up and cut this thing up. I will give it up for that. And I want to say one of the pitfalls I have, one of the things that sometimes gets in my way when I'm cooking.
This is apparently your knife skills, BT Dubs.
Yeah.
Just want to point that out right there.
Yeah, I know. I just tell her, well, then leave the kitchen.
It's watch. You don't have to watch
this. Dinner will be ready whether you see it or not. What was I saying? Oh, one of the things that gets in my way a lot of times is I'll have an idea. I'm going to cook whatever this thing tonight, and maybe I don't realize until I'm elbows deep in it that I'm missing an ingredient. Does this happen to you?
I have had that happen, yes. Although I tend to meal plan even without like this, so I know I've bought everything I need.
Okay.
But it has happened. I
try to do that, but most of my meal planning is me remembering that I would like to have this week, and then I just throw the items in the grocery cart that I think I need for it. Yeah, it's true. I don't really use recipes. Like most of this stuff I go off memory, and then so sometimes I'll forget that I needed this thing, or I'll think I have it. Maybe like it's like a condiment or a seasoning that we usually have.
Right.
But the last time it was used, we ran out. Right. And then I'll get, like I said, you get like 20 minutes into making the thing and realize that the secret ingredient is no longer here.
So then you have to make up a new secret ingredient.
You either do that or you make your normal dish subpar. And then you apologize for it as you put it on the table. Like, I'm sorry, I didn't have paprika tonight.
Sorry, it doesn't. Although, so I recently, an old friend from high school. I love her, but her palate must be the most sensitive palate ever, like more than most Minnesotans. And she's, from Michigan, but because I know Minnesotans, we love you, but pepper is spicy. I know this from camping with Minnesotans.
Mayonnaise is spicy.
Exactly. So this friend from high school, she can't do anything that's remotely spicy if it has any level of spice, like anything.
Yeah.
So she recently bought, like, speaking of heating up, she bought like a frozen dinner, like a lean cuisine frozen something, and she made it. and she said it was too spicy. And she circled, she posted this on the internet. And on the back, like the very last ingredient was sriracha. And she was like, this is why I don't like buying these things. I'm like, if it were the first ingredient, I would be like, that is way too spicy. It's literally the last ingredient. There's nothing spicy about this at all.
I mean, well, I'll be fair with you, and I like spicy food, but I'll be fair with you. It doesn't take a whole lot of sriracha to spice up a thing. It's a fairly pungent condiment.
True. But hey, there's a lesson to you people heating things up. Read the ingredients before you buy it. Then you'll know. If you don't like sriracha, do not buy that thing.
You should read the ingredients anyway, because there might be something in there you're allergic to or something you just don't like to eat. I mean, I've become an avid label reader. At some point in my 20s, I decided that like high fructose corn syrup was the devil. And it wouldn't bother, okay, so there's things that high fructose corn syrup's in that I'm like, yeah, whatever. So, like soda, yeah. Like if I'm getting like those, those little wafer cookies that are like, they come in strawberry and chocolate.
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah.
Okay, if I found out there was high fructose corn syrup in that, I'd shrug it off, whatever.
There's barely food in that. So I'm pretty sure it's at least high fructose corn syrup.
Expectations of nutritional value are low. But when I buy a can of beans, if I find that there is high fructose corn syrup in those beans, I'm very disappointed because I'm like, these are beans. What business has corn syrup got in a can of beans?
But the point I was going for here, I mean, that's a good point. That's an unrelated point, but it's a good point.
Okay.
Is that because she also circled that it had spices. And I'm like, well, spices are literally anything from pepper to paprika to ghost chilies. Like, spices is not a term that means hot things. Spices is a term that means whatever thing you put in your food to make it have more flavor.
Right, flavorful things, yes.
Yeah, and she informed me that paprika is not a spice. And I'm like, I assure you it is. It may not have any flavor, but I assure you it's a spice.
Yeah.
I don't know much, but that is a thing I know for sure.
You put enough of it, it has a mild flavor.
Well, and they're different because if you use smoked paprika, that has a very different flavor than like
flavor paprika. It's the flavor of smoke. It's the same flavor that anything smoked has. It tastes like, campfire or whatever.
It does. Which I suppose if you want that flavor in your food, here's a pro tip. Use smoked paprika and not liquid smoke.
Yeah. Liquid smoke's kind of, it's a little bit, like I don't understand, like it seems phony to me. Is that how you feel about it?
Yeah, it tastes like fake smoke. Like this thing was not smoked, but I want you to think it was.
Right. It's that liquid smoke is made in one of those factories across the river in New Jersey.
Right.
Where all the weird flavors are made. And once in a while when you're standing at the southern tip of Manhattan, if the wind's blowing right, you'll catch like a whiff of something weird. You're like, what is that? Maple syrup? What is that? Is it hamburgers? No, it's some factory in New Jersey that makes flavors, artificial flavors, because they all come from that bank over in New Jersey for some reason. Steer away from fake flavors. I'm not a fan either. I don't really like anything fake in general. Speaking of, there's only two kinds of. So I said I like to fry things. There's only two kinds of grease. Sorry, there are three kinds of grease. But there's only two kinds that come prepackaged, I should say. All right. So there's butter and there's olive oil.
All right. I do not disagree with you.
The third one that doesn't come prepackaged is bacon grease. You have to cook bacon in order to achieve bacon grease.
Yes, which I will tell you, and our favorite librarian Heather here will also tell you. I went camp. So we often go camping to like week-long festivals, and we cook. Like, we don't just heat up stuff. Like, we cook things when we're there. And one year we decided, so Matt and I had brought a bunch of bacon, and we didn't get around to making it. Like, so the very last day, we're like, we've got this bacon, we're going to cook it. So we had a cast iron pan, so we put all the bacon in there, and we were just cooking bacon. And like anybody who wants bacon, come get bacon, right? Just do that. But then, of course, we had like this much bacon fat in the bottom of this cast iron pan. And we're like, you know what we need? We need potatoes. And Kara was like, I've got potatoes. So we chopped up the potato. We like sliced them thin, or not quite thin, like, you know, round though, and threw them in the bacon fat and just let them frickin' cook. And then we had bacon and bacon fat potatoes, and it was literally the best thing any of us had eaten. So good.
Yeah. So that's what I usually, if I've cooked any pork products on the griddle, I usually follow up with my potatoes or my eggs. Let me tell you something. An omelet or some scrambled eggs that have been rolled around in pork grease.
Oh yeah.
Are twice as good as normal.
Yeah.
So yeah, I love that.
So yeah, no, I agree with you though. I traditionally only use butter or olive oil in my regular day-to-day cooking. I do usually have vegetable oil on hand because there are some applications that don't taste great with olive oil. Like if I'm making like an Asian stir fry, olive oil is not usually the flavor I want there. So I use vegetable oil.
I see.
I usually have sesame oil too, but that's a finisher. That's like last.
Yeah. I've actually used olive oil for Asian stir fry. I actually have an infused olive oil that had like red, like hot peppers in it. And I'll tell you what, that stuff a little dab will do you. Like you.
Oh yeah, I've had that too. Yes.
Yeah. The first time I cooked with it, I think I probably poured the normal amount of olive oil in the pan, and I'm sorry for it. And I learned like what to do is I would use regular olive oil and then just put a dab of the hot olive oil in there with it, and it would really give it like a very Szechuan type feel, you know, because you didn't taste the olive oil at that point. All you tasted was hot pepper.
That's true. And as Heather reminded me, our bacon event that last day of camping, we referred to as the Baconalia, and we recreated it multiple years in a row after that because it was awesome.
Yeah.
And I agree, Heather, sesame oil is good, but it's really a finisher. It's not good for like a lot of applications, but it's good to have on hand. It's like truffle oil. Like you use a little goes a long way, and you want it in the right application.
Yeah. I actually use truffle salt instead of truffle oil for my truffle flavoring. But again, that's just a little tiny bit because truffle is a strong flavor, and it's easy to overpower things with that. Oh, I'm gonna segue since we're talking about truffles. It just reminded me of one of the what kind of things do I like to cook, and well, this might be in the realm of heating up to a degree. But I do like the idea sometimes. I do a lot of, we were talking about recipes and stuff, and I like to take recipes and like tinker with them.
Uh-huh.
I've got this theme I tinker with a lot, and it's this highbrow, lowbrow thing. So I'll do things like I'll cook tater tots, but then when they're out of the oven, I'll roll them around in truffle salt. You know, and that kicks them up like then they're highbrow tater tots. You know what I mean? And I very recently, and most of my friends will remember this, but recently I was making a Hawaiian pizza, but I decided in order to be real Hawaiian pizza, it's always got me that Hawaiian pizza has ham on it. And I was like, don't most Hawaiians eat Spam? Like, why is there not a Spam pizza? So I actually made a Spam and pineapple pizza. And it turned out exactly like I thought it would, which was delicious.
Mm-hmm.
But I pre-cooked the Spam. I actually rolled the Spam around on the griddle first, got it all sizzly. And
sure. No, I think that's a good move because, you don't want to put just like naked Spam.
No, that would have been weird.
Yeah. I'm with you. I'm with you there.
If you cut it real thin, it might crispy up on the pizza, but you'd have to cut it like pepperoni thin for that to really work out, I think.
Yeah, it's not the same. Like, so this would have been good. And maybe I talked about it in our pizza show, but I used to work at a laundromat / beer bar / pizza place. It was very confusing, but they were from Boston, but they made New York style pizza. And one of their pizzas was like, if you got the vegetarian pizza, they roasted all of their vegetables ahead of time. And that was a game changer. Like, it's not the same as putting a bunch of raw vegetables on a pizza. You roast that shit, you put it on the pizza, you cook it in the pizza oven. It's freaking amazing.
Yeah, no, it is a real thing. And you know what? I had another idea, a pizza. Me and a friend a long time ago made a pizza one time. I don't know if I talked about this on the pizza episode or not. But we took a pizza. I always love the taste of burnt cheese. Like burnt cheese it becomes a whole other thing, right?
Yes. No, I don't disagree. Yeah.
And so you want the flavor of burnt cheese, but you don't want to burn the pizza to get the burnt cheese.
Right.
It was, we cooked a regular pizza, and then when it got done, we creme bruleed that shit. We took a peach out and just cooked the cheese until the cheese was brown, but the rest of the pie was okay, right?
Oh yeah, yeah.
Man, that really kicked it up a notch. So I'm always having these like crazy ideas like that. You know, like let's just do this, like let's do this, but do it slightly differently, or add this one quirky ingredient or something. And I think that's what's fun about, you know, cooking is like coming up with that. You know, it's like earlier when we were riffing on the basil pie. You know, like that's not.
I think that's a challenge we need to do. We need to make that happen.
We should. I mean, a lot of times these things start out as jokes, kind of like, you know what I mean? Like I said, like the spam pizza. That was just something I was talking to somebody about one day, and I was like, why isn't that a damn thing? Well, I'm going to make it a damn thing, you know? So,
exactly. And BT Dubs, Detroit style pizza, has that burnt cheese. That's
yeah.
the function of Detroit style pizza. That's the hallmark.
Farmhouse pizza is like that, which is where I got the idea. There's a pizza place in Asheville. I don't remember what it's called now, but we had ordered out from it at work one day, and they had this farmhouse style pizza, and it was very charred around the edges. Mm-hmm. And I was saying, as we were eating it, I was like, this is delicious, except for that the crust was also a little charred, which I did not care for.
Right.
Burnt bread does not taste good. Burnt cheese does taste good.
Right.
It's two different things, right?
Exactly.
So I was like, if you could get this but not burn the bread, this would be awesome. And I thought about it, and I was like, well, you know, you could, I guess if you did it like you do a creme brulee, like you just hit it with a torch, and then you could control the part of it that's being burnt, and it would be. Anyway, if I ever open a very upscale pizza joint, that's the thing I'm doing is the creme brulee pizza, and I'm also going to make the true Hawaiian pizza with the Spam, and perhaps I'll make a basil pizza.
No, we got to make we got to have a spinach pie, basil pie. Yeah, we use the same recipe and we make that. I think we should do it.
Right.
But, so we have 10 minutes left, about 10 minutes. There are two important subjects I want to talk about. So let's start with this one, because if we don't get to the other one, whatever, we don't get it. But is there anything in particular? I know you don't like baking, you don't like this. Is there anything that you do not like to cook? Like something that you're like, if I have to cook that, I would rather starve.
I can't think of anything off the top of my head that I feel that way about. I mean, it would require, like I said, if it required prep that was longer than half an hour, I would rule it out. That's the only thing I can think of. It's a very abstract, like just certain things I don't like. I can't put that kind of time into it. I'm not gonna.
Like, would you make a lasagna, or would you?
No, that's over an hour.
Yeah, see, that's fair. That's fair. Because I'm okay with those things in certain situations, like especially, which is my other topic, is cooking for a crowd. If I'm cooking for a crowd, then I make a lasagna, and then I am both cooking and have time to spend with people that I'm hanging out with.
If I'm cooking for a crowd, it's going to be a bunch of appetizer type shit, and it's going to be in the crock pot. And that's what frees my ass up.
That's fair. I do that too. Completely do that too.
Yeah. And I like cooking appetizers too. I think appetizers, I mean, when I cook big breakfast, though, like when I cook French toast, I don't cook French toast for me and the wife. Like I cook French toast when all the kids are over, like Christmas morning or something. You know, if I have a crowd, like I'm because the kids love French toast, and so I'll make it for them if they're all there. Because I guess I kind of want like a little bit. It's about the accolades. I want somebody to be, oh my God, this is so good. You know, like, so, you know what I mean? Also,
right.
once you break the eggs and the cream and all that shit in the soaking pan, like that's a lot of work for two people. Also, French toast is the kind of dish you want to make for a crowd. Honestly,
That's fair. That's fair. And I like cooking. So for me, cooking is very social. So like, even if it's just me and like, to your point about you telling Emily she's got to leave because your knife cuts aren't great. Like for me, I like to cook if Matt's sitting at the other side of the counter and I'm cooking, but we're there together. Like I enjoy that. So if it's for a crowd, I want to be able to be a part of it, but I also want to be able to cook. So I need to plan things out particularly that work for that environment.
right. If you had a dish that was going to require a lot of prep, you could prep before people showed up.
Mm-hmm.
You'd have your chopped vegetables or whatever already in little bowls in the refrigerator.
Exactly.
And then you're only taking the 15 minutes it takes to cook the thing and not the prep time.
Which is why mise en place is important. Like that's why I like to do all that.
I'm sorry, what is mise en place? I did take German, but this doesn't ring a bell.
It's French. That's why you don't. That's why it doesn't ring a bell. Mise en place just means everything in place. So if you have to chop onions and chop whatever, you do all that ahead of time, and you have it with you, so it's all ready, and your spices are ready. So if you need, some amount of spice, you have that there. So you have everything ready. So once you start cooking, it's just a matter of throwing, the peppers and the onions and everything. Like then once the heat is going, everything is ready.
The mirepoix.
Mirepoix is a specific type of mise en place. Because that is when you start a sauce with celery, carrots, onion, something else.
So I think it's just celery, carrots, and onions. Finely diced. Yes, it's like the basis for a lot of soups and sauces or something.
Yeah, especially in French cuisine.
It's funny to me. It shows up on when you go to restaurants now. They're always like like I had to learn that word because I was constantly like seeing it on menus. Like it's like mirepoix with a reduction of blah blah blah. And I was like, what the fuck is this? Like, just say what it is. It's like tell me what
carrot, celery, and onion.
Yeah, it's just like, why do you gotta be fancy? Just tell me what it is.
They're not fancy. They're just being French. And Heather, I'm with you. As everybody probably knows, because I talk about it all the time, Matt and I are about to move home. And one of the things we want to get is an air fryer. And I agree. Like, I hear very good things about air fryers. So tell me about it.
I will be the last person on earth to get an air fryer because I like griddle frying.
That's fair. That's fair. I didn't think I would, and I still rebel against what's the new thing? The not crock pot, the Instapot. I have no desire to get one of those.
That damn thing causes fights. I tell anybody to avoid that like a plague. That stupid thing. Here's the deal. So it's a double-edged sword. Will it cook an entire pork tenderloin in half an hour? Yes, it will. Will it take you an additional half an hour to sort out how it's going to do that? Yes, it will.
No, I mean, here's the thing. If I want something, if I want to do all the prep ahead of time and make it, a crock pot's going to serve that for me. It's fine. Like, if I want to, like, frequently on football Sundays, I will spend the morning putting together a chili or whatever I do in the crock pot. I'll do that in the morning so that it's ready to eat when the football game is over. And I think that's enjoyable. I don't need to do that. Like, then it just makes more pressure for me.
You just said a thing that made me think of a good name for a cookbook. Sorry. But it's called What We Do in the Crock Pot.
I like that. We should do that. We should make one of those and sell it as a Bill Has Opinions.
What we do in the, I mean, that'll be the follow up to my first cookbook, Cooking on High and Why.
Both of those are excellent. I like them very much. All right, so I think we are getting close. Normally at this time of the show, we would do our mailbag. We have not received any questions, so this is my reminder to you, all of you viewer, that you should send us a question or two.
Shame on all of you.
Shame on all one of you. Shame on all three of you. Send us questions. We want to answer them on the line. We want to do that. All right. So with the remaining time we have, Bill, I believe you have a things that are extra.
I do. So I'm a fan of nice shoes. I'm like for I know women get like a stereotype of they like to have shoes. I like shoes. I like to buy shoes, and I like to have nice shoes. And one of my favorite things, several years back, I got a pair of blue shoes for Christmas, and I got more damn compliments on those blue shoes. And so now I've always been the kind of person where if I bought a pair of shoes I liked, I'd buy them in brown and black, because I'm like, well, they're great shoes. You need to have them in brown and black so you can alternate them with outfits.
Good advice.
I'm now on the boat of you should have them in brown and black and blue if they come in blue. However, the thing that's annoying me, recently, one of the dogs, and in all fairness, my last pair of blue shoes were already on their way out. Like they were threadbare anyway, so I'm not like that mad about it. But the dog finished them off, and so now I'm finding myself without a pair of blue shoes, and I want a pair of blue shoes to replace them with. And I'll see sometimes I'll be looking on online catalog sites or whatever, or even in a shoe store, and I see blue shoes that I'm moderately interested in. My favorite style of shoe is wingtips, by the way. So I'll see somebody that have the wingtip front, and I'm like, ooh, But then what gets me, a lot of times the sole will be white. I don't like why do they gotta keep putting white soles on otherwise nice looking dress shoes? I mean, they might be those hybrid, like they're dressy but they're casual shoes.
Right.
But that white sole completely sells it as casual to me. I'm like, now I can't wear a nice shirt with it and pretend that I'm dressed up. Like now people are gonna see that white sole and they're gonna go, oh, those are tennis shoes, basically.
Right, I agree with that. I completely agree.
Gray is a perfectly good color for the soles of a blue
Even
shoe.
black is fine. Even brown is fine. It doesn't matter.
Anything but white. White just makes it look like it's a tennis shoe. And I don't know whether the white foam rubber is cheaper than the other colors or what, but like there have been 7 pairs of blue shoes I would have bought except for the white sole, and I'm like, I just can't get past, So people out there who make shoes, if you're listening, make a nice blue wingtip, casual, dressy hybrid shoe, but give it a gray sole, and I will purchase it.
So manufacturers, but also viewers, if you like to go down an internet rabbit hole, do a search, see what you can find, send it to Bill. We'll see if we can find him some shoes. Let's crowdsource some shoes.
Find me some nice shoes.
We'll give you a shout out if you do it. We will
tag them with hashtag. Oh, I can't figure this out. I've had too many beers now. Hashtag Opinion Gang. That's our new hashtag.
Yes. Use Opinion Gang. Find something. Do that. I am also really bad at telling what direction things are on our podcast. I have no idea. See, Zoom, we all got used to Zoom, right? And Zoom automatically mirrors you.
Yes.
But that's not normal. Like, it's a good feature, but it's not normal. Most cameras will not do that. Yeah. So I love our service. I love StreamYard, which we use. Shout out to StreamYard. But it's still, you're mirrored. So you have to pay attention to like the side things are on when you want to point out something. Otherwise you're like, I got a thing. Like, it's just not possible. You got to figure it out, which is why live sometimes it comes across as like, what the hell are they doing? What is wrong with them?
Because they're trying to sort out, wait, which hand points to the hashtag? Here it is. Yeah. Okay, yeah.
So Opinion Gang right there. That's our hashtag. Use that. Exactly. Hey, it's amusing to us because we've been drinking, which is literally what we'd be doing if we weren't on the internet with you.
So.
That's how it all works. All right, we are done for the day. Bill, will you take us away?
Yes, Bill Has Opinions is engineered and produced by Laura Lavoie. The opinions of Bill are those of his and his alone, unless Laura shook her head and laughed in agreement. And the opinions of Laura are hers and hers alone, unless Bill also seemed to agree with them, in which case then they agreed on them. And they're not the opinions of any of the people that we pretend are our sponsors that don't pay us a dime. But if you would like to pay us a dime, reach out. Be sure to patronize Found Sound in Ferndale, Michigan. And be sure to like and subscribe if you're on the YouTube. And if you're on the Facebook, be sure to follow us. And be sure to hashtag Opinion Gang when you talk about us. Leave us some feedback and some messages, or tell us you hate us, or whatever the hell. I don't care.
We're fine. We just want you to talk to us.
And be sure to come back next week for more exciting stuff on Bill Has Opinions.
Right. I have no idea what next week's episode is, but we will be sure to have one. That's what we're going to do. All right. Bye, everybody.